Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Camellia reaction. Finally, something from Chimera Dragons. I haven't listened to anything from this album at all. I specifically avoided it because I knew we were going to have somebody who was going to request it, and here we are with Sei and my executive producers requesting Kikai no Tsubasa featuring Kasane Teto. Of course, it's fucking Teto. Hell yeah, Teto. Anyway, I'm going to be hearing something from this album finally. So that's pretty sick. I've heard kind of mixed things. I've heard a lot of people say it's great, but also kind of ragging on Camellia about the mix quality this time around, but maybe that's just some people's shitty opinions. I don't know. My opinions are what matter here. It's my channel, damn it. Anyway, I'm going to be listening to this and giving you my thoughts, and without further ado, let's go! I mean, so far I've heard decent panning, so I've got no problems there. It's been a while since I've heard like this flavor of Teto. And so far I don't have any big complaints or anything, but we're very early in. I also know this is way too slow to be a Camellia song, but the stings tell me that's about to change. Yep. Read it like a book. Whew, God, okay. That is filthy. That is disgusting. Ooh. Ooh, a little Latin rhythm change up there. Okay. This is very dirty. This is very dirty. Ooh. Those pitch bends. That's diabolical. Lost count of the song there for a second. Also, I love Celtic 200 step. Is just kind of goofy in and of itself. Ooh. Okay. It's these moments that Camellia confuses me. This confuses the man. But it's also... it's that sort of thing that makes me love Camelia's work. Because, like, not many people would be bold enough to just shut off the song like that for so long to kind of do a soft reset. It's been too slow for too long. Time to ramp it back up. Read it like a book. Okay, those transitions. The weird choices. It's really like these weird moments that always take the cake for me. That sidechain is ridiculous. That is such a thick sidechain. Well, to be fair, there's a lot going on, but like, you can like hear that pulsating. It's like not just subtle, it's very obvious. But what else are we gonna do for the next, what, 2 minutes? Doing something wild. You can really hear that sidechain. It is so thick. Like, I'm listening to this very closely. Sorry that I'm being, like, more quiet than I usually would be. But songs like this really need that attention. the absolute joy doing those little runs in there. And now we're gonna get like a minute of outro, or one more time? One more time it is. I wasn't sure if he was gonna take the like hyper atmospheric route of like letting it decay real slowly. That's a different way to end it. Ending it with a similar sound design to how we started. I love it when they wrap it back around. Hell yeah, Camellia. All right, as we all know here, I am not one to hold my opinions back when I actually get to the analytical side of the videos. I listen to things, I give things a shot, I try to hear things out and see if there's anywhere that things could be adjusted, I feel, or anything that feels wrong, or just straight up, is it good, outright, flat, no arguments. This one, I think Camellia might have flown a little too close to the sun here. I don't think that it's bad, mind you. I don't think that anything in the song is inherently awful. there is some mixing problems. I can hear those, you know, like I can really feel that there's too much going on and there is room for that balance to be better. I talked with Camellia about that in the interview that I had with him recently, where he thinks that like he's getting a little bit lazy, and that's kind of what this feels like a little bit. This feels like, especially in the noise floor of all that synth, there's so much frequency being taken up in there that you kind of lose other aspects of the song. It's not that you can't tell what's going on, but like the vocals are lost with all of that like almost white noise sort of aggressive sawtoothy synth that's in there. It's just so aggressive and sharp that it takes up most of that noise floor. That's why white noise is kind of there. It's in that frequency range where it doesn't like bother a lot of people, but if it's loud enough, it can definitely overtake a lot of other frequencies, and why you can't hear people at concerts and stuff like that. It's a similar effect because when there's too much noise, your ears kind of grate like that naturally. They create this noise floor because things are getting so distorted in your own ear that you lose information going into it. So at some point, if you don't have hearing damage permanently, you definitely can't hear certain things, and that's why. So this is hitting that problem where there's too much synth noise, not enough melodic noise, not enough harmony in there. You can't really hear what the notes are doing. It's just, especially when it like really kicks into like the 200 step part of it, there's just too much. It's honestly too much. And while that can easily be fixed by a little bit of remastering, most likely, I think a lot of that is just the fact that he was also having vocals in there. Those kind of got lost too. It's definitely not the worst loss of vocals I've ever heard, but again, you're losing the vocals inside that range of audio that you just cannot hear anymore. And it's a bummer because like I want to be able to understand what the lyrics are doing, and then also on top of that using the Teto voice that's like a little bit more gritty for the aesthetic of it. And again, while that's great, it also leans into having too much of that frequency range in that exact same spot. You just lose a lot with this one, unfortunately. I feel like there are probably better songs on this album, but this one, while not written terribly, and I like how things were paced out, and again, those like moments of Camellia-isms where like he's brave enough to take a pause and let the song decay before bringing it back in and allowing things to breathe a little bit. I appreciate the shit out of that because so many people are too afraid to let their songs breathe, especially when they're known for, even if it's a meme, doing crazy shit, having a lot of speed and a lot of information all at once. There needs to be a limit somewhere. And I think that this song just steps over that line just enough where you're like, be careful there, Icarus. You're really fucking close. Your wings are starting to smoke a little bit. It's just, that's where I'm sitting on this song. The rest of it is great. I think that the writing of this one is super fun, and some of the changes he was doing, especially in that like last refrain, that was fun. And despite me like reading it like a book, it's still creative. Like I could tell when things were coming, but that's just because I'm aware of how music works and when the transitional spots should be happening. I can tell. Most people who listen to Camellia on a regular basis can probably do the same thing. It's not like a fucking superpower to be able to decide when a song should move on to the next part. Some people do need to like take their time to learn how to do that, because I've even talked to a few producers who are starting out and they're not really sure how long a drop should go or how long a buildup should go, and that line is kind of different for everyone. It's all really down to personal taste, but the bottom line is if it feels like it's going too long, maybe cut it in half and see from there. And then if that's too short, add half of that length back from before. That sort of thing. Just work it out. But that's kind of an aside point here. The general point for me bringing it up is that Camellia knows how to handle their songs. Camellia has handled many, many songs that are more busy than this, but they've also handled those songs better. And that's why I'm concerned with this one, because it is so close to being one of those songs that just fits right in with the rest of their discography, but it just kind of falls flat for me because it really feels like he was trying so many sounds all at once. If he took like one layer of that extra aggressive like aggroed synth in there that's just way too much and pulled that out, I feel like there would be so much more room audibly to work with that you wouldn't have that problem anymore. It's just those minor things. And the sidechain thing I kept bringing it up is kind of part of that as well. Sidechaining is basically, for those who don't know or aren't producers and don't understand it, is basically having your kick drum listen to another layer and vice versa, where your kick will duck the volume and some of that frequency. It'll like scoop it as the kick activates. And it's usually the kick. It can be done for other things and other layers. You can really do it with anything, but most people use it for the kick drum, especially in EDM, because that's that beat. You want that beat to be as clear as possible, so you apply that so it ducks everything else out of the way. It's also called ducking in some cases, and that way you get more frequency of that kick drum, and everything just kind of makes room for itself. You can adjust the parameters of how aggressive that is. Is it super soft? Is it super aggressive? Is it very long decay? Is it short attack? A bunch of, varying things you can adjust with that. For this one, it really feels like he just went too far with that. Like, there was that one spot where I could really hear things ramping back in. That sidechain was so aggressive. It was so aggressive. And while I don't mind an aggressive sidechain, especially where it belongs, for this song, I think it was mostly just because there was so much happening that not even the sidechain could truly control all of that. And as a result, that ducking ended up sounding so much more aggressive because it was removing a bunch of noise that at that point our ears had adjusted to and were used to hearing, but probably shouldn't have been there in the first place. So it ended up just kind of ducking out all of this extra white noise that our ears were hearing. And it's just like, that's what I mean by flying too close to the sun. That could be intentional as well, but I feel like it's more or less a band-aid in this context. There are definitely songs that, like I said, use a lot of sidechain as a flavor in a way. And while, again, that could be the case here, I really feel like in order to be a proper flavor, a properly applied sidechain, it needs to be careful about exactly what it's scooping. And instead of just grabbing the whole thing and getting rid of it, which is what this felt like, it usually just removes one or two layers, one or two instruments, not the whole song like this one was doing. I feel like that's exclusively because he either did everything as a mix down and then applied the kick to the whole thing as like a partnered group, which is just nuts, or literally there was so much in one or two of the layers that he picked and so much noise there that it just sounded like it was getting rid of the whole song. But it's those layers that he applied it to that were probably the problem children and needed to be controlled before that step. But this is also all coming from a guy who hasn't really produced much of anything. Like, I have to always make that clear. Like, I am not an electronic producer. I've made maybe a song or two in my whole life, but I do understand these steps and why they work and why they don't, at least in my opinion, of course. And I feel like that's kind of one of the things I like to talk about here is, while I'm not a producer, sometimes you do just need a layman, the everyman who's listening to your music, to feel out those differences sometimes and be able to understand truly from like a textbook perspective why things do or don't work and try to nudge in the right direction. I'm not trying to change Camelia's sound, of course. He's going to make whatever the fuck he wants to, and I hope he continues to. That's the glory of being an artist. While I am a musician, I'm just not this type of musician. So it's like, I love listening to it, but I also have my opinions about what should and shouldn't be there from the textbook perspective of knowing what those different attributes affect in a song. It's a lot. And I always try to put that disclaimer in there because I feel like people watch these videos and think that I know everything when that is nowhere near the fucking case. I just give my opinions on things and what I think could be improved. And I hope that if any producers are watching this, anyone new or anyone who's even seasoned and might just be wondering why it sounds weird and aren't able to put it into words, that my autistic ass, who's hyper fixated on this sort of thing to the point of learning everything he can about it, can maybe at least help you understand so you can avoid those problems in the future, or take the best of what's out there and apply that to your approaches of music as well. So for a lot of what I love about Camellia, this song just had a little bit too much going on, and I feel like for that reason it ended up just kind of being one of probably my least favorite songs from Camellia that I've heard so far. But to be fair, I've only heard a few. While I have listened to a good number of his songs, I have also skipped many because of this channel, so I have plenty that I'm going to get to eventually. There's actually another one from Say as well that's I think it's Exit the Earth's Atmosphere is the one, and they said that's like the Camellia song, song, so that one will probably be fun, but it'll probably be another month or two until I get to it because it's really far down on the list. Either way, thank you all so very much for watching. Hopefully you don't hate me that much for kind of shitting on Camellia a little bit in this video. I know Camellia himself doesn't really mind a harsh critique here and there, as everyone should appreciate a critique that has criticism and isn't just blindly hating, because that helps no one. But if you have another Camellia song you wanted me to get to, by all means drop in the comments below and I will do my best as always to get to those. Or if you want to guarantee something much like Say did for this one, you can always go to my Patreon or my YouTube memberships where you can guarantee something. Doesn't matter who it's by, what it's from, if it's good or bad, none of that matters. That's why it's a guarantee. But if you don't want to do any of that and maybe just want to follow me and support me for more stuff coming in the future, you know how to do all that, and I will see all of you in the next video. Goodbye!